like to call the Benner City Council regular meeting to order for June 4th, 2024. Our invocation tonight will be given by Councilman Krieger.
Heavenly Father, we thank Thee for this day. Help us to use good judgment for the business at hand, and guide us in wisdom with a continuing sense of truth and fairness for the community we represent.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Krieger? Here. Mr. Martin?
Here.
Mr. Blake?
Here.
Mr. Donovan?
Here.
Mrs. Dowling?
Here.
Mr. Freeman?
Here.
Mr. Kirschner?
Here. Okay, Council, you are in receipt of the minutes from the May 7th, 2024 work session.
Move to approve. Second.
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Abstain.
Mr. Kirschner?
Yes.
Okay, and Council, you are also in receipt of the May 7th, 2024 regular meeting minutes.
Move to approve. Second.
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Abstain.
Mr. Kirschner?
Yes.
All right, starting off tonight, we have one public hearing. This public hearing is now called to order and is being held pursuant to notice duly published and posted according to law. Ordinance number 24-0-36.
An ordinance approving and adopting the tax budget of the City of Mentor, Ohio for the fiscal year commencing January 1, 2025, and submitting same to the county auditor and declaring an emergency.
Okay, Ken.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll ask Mr. Malinowski to make a few comments.
Thank you, Mr. Filipiak. This ordinance is the annual tax budget. It represents the year 2025 collection year for our tax budget. It's a requirement by the ORC that we submit this to the Budget Commission, Lake County Budget Commission, for approval. It indicates the millage, the 3 inside mills and the 1.5 fire levy outside mills. It equates to approximately $7.34 million of collections, and I would recommend approval of this tonight. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone here wishing to speak in favor of this ordinance? Hearing none. Anybody wishing to speak in opposition of this ordinance? None as well. Council is in receipt of all correspondence received pertaining to this matter, and this public hearing is adjourned. So moving on, tabled legislation, we have none. New legislation, ordinance number 24-0-035.
An ordinance accepting and authorizing the manager to enter into a professional services contract with R.E. Warner and Associates, Inc. for design and construction administration for a new Civic Center pool slide and declaring an emergency.
Ken?
Thank you, Mr. President. As council knows, we have been trying to move this project forward now for a couple of years, and haven't had a lot of luck. So we have enjoined engineers, architectural services to perform to put together an actual design for us that meets with what our expectations are. So I'll ask Mr. Fowler to go through that.
Thank you, Mr. Filipiak. Members of council, this ordinance allows for the CM to enter into an agreement with R.E. Warner for the design of the water slide at Civic Center Park. Also includes the bidding, construction administration, and construction observation for the same. This agreement allows for the procurement of 2 permits, one from the Ohio Department of Natural Resources and the second from the Ohio Department of Commerce, which are both required by the state in order to operate this improvement. R.E. Warner was selected from an RFQ process that both the Recreation Department and the City Manager's Office participated in, and we recommend approval. Thank you.
Council, I'll add to that a lot of the changes in the law have actually led to a lot of the changes in what this project will look like. So this slide will actually not dump directly into our existing pool. It can't, just because of the existing design of the pool. So it'll actually dump into a shallow pool immediately adjacent to the main structure. So our goal is to have this have this design finished, bid it out, have it under contract going into the fall season, so that it's either construction can perhaps get started in the fall and be finished by spring, so it's open for the 25 season.
Okay. Ken, just, Joe and I here are looking at this legislation, and I think we will probably need an amendment in this. Is there a,
Just to confirm the total contract award, not to exceed cost.
yeah. Is that something we need to iron out before we move forward?
That's
That's for everything, that's construction.
Just 1 second here, Mr. President. Let's see what.
Or take your time.
Well, the contract is $156,114. I do see that there is an error in section 1.
Correct.
Okay.
So the amendment would be for that amount.
Oh.
And it is correct in the third whereas.
Yeah. So we just need an amendment to
Section 1.
change section 1 to that 156 number.
Correct.
Okay.
And apologies, council, I missed it.
I'm sorry.
I would move to amend Section 1 to as stated. Second.
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes, as amended.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling? Yes. Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Mr. Kirchner?
Yes, I would move to suspend as amended. Second.
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling? Yes. Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Mr. Kirchner?
Yes, move to approve as amended. Second.
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling? Yes. Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Mr. Kirchner?
Yes.
All right. Ordinance number 24-0-035 has been approved. Next is ordinance number 24-0-036.
An ordinance approving and adopting the tax budget of the City of Mentor, Ohio for the fiscal year commencing January 1, 2025, and submitting same to the county auditor and declaring an emergency.
Okay. Ken, anything to add?
Nothing to add unless council has any questions.
Move to suspend. Second.
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling? Yes. Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Mr. Kirchner?
Yes, move to approve. Second.
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling? Yes. Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Mr. Kirchner?
Yes.
Ordinance number 24-0-036 has been approved. Next is ordinance number 24-0-037.
An ordinance to authorize transfers of funds and revisions to appropriations and declaring an emergency.
Ken?
Mr. President, members of council, Mr. Malinowski, please.
Thank you, Mr. Filipiak. Members of council, this ordinance does two main things. Firstly, it authorizes a permanent cash transfer from the city's general fund to the medical self-insurance fund, representing $3.5 million, which is about a half a year claims and admin costs on our self-insurance fund. And then secondly, there are a few appropriation revisions, 2 increases to the general fund and 2 decreases to the senior levy fund to put those in alignment, as noted in the staff report. I recommend approval. Thank you.
Council?
Move to suspend. Second.
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling? Yes. Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Mr. Kirchner?
Yes, move to approve. Second.
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling? Yes. Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Mr. Kirchner?
Yes.
Ordinance number 24-0-037 has been approved. Ordinance number 24-0-038.
An ordinance amending Part 5, Section 52111 of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Mentor, 2006, as amended to prohibit outdoor smoking on City of Mentor property except in designated areas and declaring an emergency.
Ken?
Thank you, Mr. President, and I'll ask Mr. Zeman to make some comments on this as well. He did a very fine job of crafting the amendment that's before you. Council, under Ohio Revised Code, we are allowed to prohibit smoking in public areas that include outdoor areas. But unfortunately, in our municipal code, we don't have a penalty provision if such a violation were to occur. In fact, we don't designate, we don't have the authority right now to designate outdoor areas and impose a penalty under Section 521 of the Municipal Code. So what we would ask council is to be able to treat the areas that we designate outside, which quite frankly would predominantly just be the amphitheater grounds during performances, to allow us to enforce them in the same manner as we would indoor spaces. I'll ask Mr. Zeman to comment.
Joe?
Yes, thank you, Council. As Mr. Filipiak indicated, it's redefining public place to not just include indoor spaces, but the new section, which you'll see in the ordinance, which is underlined, outdoor areas as well. But it's narrow. It's the outdoor areas used for hosting meetings, performances, special events, and other such similar uses for the general public. So as Mr. Filipiak indicated, you've got very, very dense crowds with the amphitheater and with some other outdoor events that occur. So it's very it's narrow, it's tailored, and it's to prevent the type of adverse secondary effects that Ohio law generally manages relative to indoor spaces as well. Thank you.
Also, I'd add one more thing to that. It also provides an expansion of the definition to include vaping and vaping products.
Okay.
So, and we also envision that this could become a problem, once the recreational marijuana use comes into play as well. Again, we expect that there will probably be some violators of that once that state law kicks in. So we're trying to get ahead of that as well.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. At least a couple times a year, I get emails complaining about cigars and cigarettes in the crowd. People just don't seem to understand that there's that no smoking area. Can you kind of walk us through where the smoking areas are going to be at the amphitheater and what the enforcement will look like? I mean,
Sure.
if you-
Sure.
First
So,
offender.
and I will say, historically, to your point, Councilman, it's where we get the most complaints on these grounds is for smokers and secondhand smoke that's wafting toward, persons and families. So it has become a problem for us. We have one designated smoking area that is in the rear corner closest to the parking lot where we think of the motorcycle parking. It's a fairly detached location, so that has worked out well. We are planning on opening up a second smoking area that will be an area where a lot of people have tended to congregate away and smoke, even though it's prohibited. So that will be near the police department fence, right across from the restrooms, kind of where some of those smaller evergreens are. So we'll designate those. We'll also be designating we'll be putting up new signs starting with next week's concert, should council pass this ordinance this evening, that will make it clear what the penalty is and that. Now, our approach will be pretty much how we approach most of these things. It's not our intention to really get heavy-handed with our residents or our guests. It's really just to provide that level of courtesy that everyone hopes to enjoy when they're in this tight quarters, as was mentioned. So I expect that, like with most of our these type of nuisance activities, there'll be a warning first, and if it persists, our officers will be in a position to write a ticket, which again would be a minor misdemeanor under this section.
Any idea what that ticket would cost if you get a ticket for smoking?
Well, that would be up to the judge to decide. More than a pack of cigarettes.
Bag of cigarettes, yeah.
$50, 2 packs of cigarettes.
Mr. Zeman might be able to
Yeah, Joe?
answer that question better.
Well, as Mr. Filipiak indicated, it's ultimately up to the judge. It would be punishable by a maximum $150 fine, court costs, other sanctions such as community service could be ordered. Bottom line is it would be an extremely expensive cigarette.
So then that's not a waivable ticket. That's a court ticket that you have to go in and appear.
Correct.
You can't waive that like you do a
They would be
speeding
given.
ticket.
Correct. They'd be given an arraignment date. They could go in early. Well, I don't want to get into too much process in that regard, but suffice to say the penalty could make it an extremely expensive cigarette or cigar.
And plus taking a day off of work to come to court. Thank you, Ken. Council.
Move to suspend.
Second.
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner?
Yes, move to approve.
Second.
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner?
Yes.
Ordinance number 24-0-038 has been approved. Ordinance number 24-0-039.
An ordinance amending Part 1, Title 5, Section 151.12 of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Mentor, 2006 as amended, related to reinstatement of the Research and Training Coordinator and declaring an emergency.
Ken.
Thank you, Mr. President. Council, as best as we can determine, this position was actually removed from our codified ordinances probably about 20 years ago. We have a desire to reinstate the position, to place it back into our schedule, because we do intend to fill the position resulting from a recent retirement.
Council.
Move to suspend.
Second.
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner?
Yes, move to approve.
Second.
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner?
Yes.
Ordinance number 24-0-039 has been approved. Ordinance number 24-0-040.
An ordinance approving and authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract with Dennis R. Spalding, Inc. for the purchase of 23 Motorola mobile radios and declaring an emergency.
Ken.
Thank you, Mr. President. Chief Gunch?
Yes, sir, thank you. The city recently applied for and received a grant from the Ohio Office of Criminal Justice Services to help fund the purchase of 23 new mobile radios for our patrol cars. The current radios are no longer supported by Motorola and do not allow for encrypted transmissions. The new radios, APX 4500s, will satisfy our current and our future needs. The cost for 23 new radios is $97,333.24. The awarded grant will cover $73,000 of the total cost, leaving the cost of the city at $24,333.24. I recommend approval.
Move to suspend.
Second.
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner?
Yes, move to approve.
Second.
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner?
Yes.
Ordinance number 24-0-040 has been approved. Ordinance number 24-0-041.
An ordinance approving and authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract with Cleveland Freightliner, Inc., DBA Valley Freightliners, Sterling and Western Star Trucks of Cleveland for the purchase of one Western Star 47X dump truck cab and chassis under the State of Ohio Department of Transportation Purchasing Program.
Ken.
Mr. President, Mr. Schweikert, please.
Thank you. As part of an ongoing fleet management and replacement program, the Department of Public Works recommends purchasing a Western Star 47X dump truck cab and chassis using the Ohio Department of Transportation's purchasing program. This type of single-axle dump truck is the mainstay of our snow plowing and maintenance activity. The price under the state program is $138,424. The vehicle will be purchased from Valley Freightliner located in Parma. We've had good luck purchasing from Valley Freightliner in the past, and this Western Star will add to a number of similar trucks that we already own, which makes stocking repair and maintenance parts more efficient. Thank you.
Move to suspend.
Second.
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner?
Yes, move to approve.
Second.
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner?
Yes.
Ordinance number 24-0-041 has been approved. Resolution number 24-R-107.
A resolution authorizing the city manager to prepare and submit a grant application to the Ohio Department of Transportation Review Advisory Council Program to assist with funding improvements to the bridge at State Route 615 over Interstate 90 and declaring an emergency.
Ken?
Thank you, Mr. President. So, Council, this is an important project for us. It's probably one of the biggest, at the time, and currently one of the largest remaining road projects that we have in the city, which would be the adding a lane on 615, North 615, and where it intersects with Interstate 90. We think, obviously, with the addition of the Cleveland Clinic and their current success and future expansion efforts, as well as the likelihood of the Bolton family property developing at some point, that this will be a necessary improvement. This allows us to make application through the Ohio Department of Transportation's TRAC program. I have Mr. Swigger here and Mr. Grippy here if you have any questions on that, but essentially you're just authorizing us to make application, and that's, we would be asking for about 80% of that project to be covered.
Council?
Move to suspend.
Second.
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Mr. Kirchner?
Yes. Move to approve.
Second.
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Mr. Kirchner?
Yes.
Resolution number 24-R-017 has been approved. Second readings, we have none. Third readings, we have none. Manager's report, Ken?
Thank you, Mr. President, members of council. Council, the updated Mentor Visitor Guide is now available at all city facilities. The free guide serves as a great source on where to eat, shop, play, and stay in our city. It has a complete listing of restaurants as well as independent businesses. Whatever your taste, you're sure to find it in Mentor. You can also download a copy of that at www.visitmentor.com. Council, I know you are aware of the fact that the 2024 Mentor Rocks Summer Concert Series begins tonight with Queen Nation, one of our more popular return acts. Our series is Northeast Ohio's most popular free summer concert series. That happens each Tuesday night from 7 to 9 p.m., weather permitting, with great music, great food, and a whole lot of family fun. We do remind our residents and our guests that outside alcohol, glass containers, and pets are not permitted on amphitheater grounds. Admission and parking are free, and this concert series is primarily made available not just through the generosity of our Mentor residents, but through that of our corporate and public sponsors. And if the public needs to learn more about the series, it's also available online at www.mentorrocks.info. In council, we have several new businesses also to announce in our city. The Human Bean is now open at 8768 Mentor Avenue. It's a very nice coffee shop, I'm told. Core Forklifts at 7895 Division Drive. X-Commerce at 7640 Tyler Boulevard. Blue Anchor at 7840 Tyler Boulevard. MAB Maintenance and Cleaning at 9442 Mercantile Drive. Tribeco Rooter at 7840 Tyler Boulevard. Health Coach at 7840 Tyler Boulevard. And Prime Food Mart at 8337 Mentor Avenue. So we appreciate their investment in our city, and we wish them great success going forward. That's all.
All right, thank you, Ken. Clerk's correspondence. Julie?
Council is in receipt of the Mentor Municipal Court April 2024 month-end report. And that is all.
All right, thank you. Commission committee reports. Council, you have the meeting minutes of the Tree Commission from January 10th, 2024 and March 13th, 2024, and the Planning Commission meeting minutes from May 2nd, 2024. Old business. New business. Okay, moving on. Persons before council, I think we have one. William, nothing? So if you'd like to come up to the podium, please give us your name, your address, and realize that you have 4 minutes for your presentation.
Yes, Mr. President. First, my introduction, I am William Nething. My address is 3175 Open Gate Trail, Green Bay, Wisconsin. But I have my business address in the city of Mentor, or property that I'm currently signed for, is 7342 Mentor Avenue. Mr. President, the reason I'm here, I'm actually looking for guidance rather than ask for certain things. As a business owner, and even introduction to myself to why I'm asking for the council's help. I spent 20 years United States Army, 3 years Department of Defense, so when I ask for something, it probably means I need some help because I currently have 19 operating locations and businesses in multiple states throughout the nation. When we tried to gain occupancy here in the city of Mentor, I've been hitting some walls, Mr. President, and I've been rejected for our company based on Ordinance 240-029. And the help and guidance of what I'm looking for is the building department is rejecting occupancy for my business based on the fact stating that we are in fact a head shop. That was sort of an opinion based, but after reading the definitions in the ordinance 24-0-029, an ordinance head shop is defined as a retail store whose principal retail products are paraphernalia and or items designed or marketed for use with cannabis or drugs. Mr. President, in fact, we are not any of that. We sell zero paraphernalia in about 50% of our stores. We do have certain stores in the nation that do sell paraphernalia. We also do not sell any nicotine. So what I'm asking you, Mr. President, and the council, is in what direction could a business trying to occupy that, if I use numbers, for example, a very close location, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, downtown, last year in sales grossed $1.4 million. We had about 35,000 customers at that location. With that type of revenue of what we're even trying to bring into not only the city of Mentor and occupying into the Ohio market, what direction, Mr. President, could we have for guidance to try and either convince the legal team for that or move forward? Because from what we were told by the boarding and planning division is that we have to wait a duration of time all the way out to sometime in July. But as a business owner, I would ask anyone, I've got about $20,000 so far stuck into this property that, of course, you can't even ask for occupancy until after everything is sort of taken care of, unless it, of course, requires planning. In this term, we took care of, we modified, got everything up to code, made everything look really pretty, and now we're in a situation where we've got 90 days in a lease where we can either exit Mentor completely if we are given that saying, hey, we can't occupy based on certain terms, or what could we do to help expedite this, and who could we even talk to other than you, Mr. President, or the council?
Can I, what do you sell?
So I own a company called The Dispensary. We sell all hemp-derived. We are a vertically integrated company, and we sell all hemp-related products. So flour, edibles, things of that nature.
Understood. Thank you. Anything else to add?
No, Mr. President, just looking for guidance on who to talk to or how to appeal that even further in a faster timeline.
Okay. Well, thank you. We'll give some consideration to what you've told us.
All right, thank you, Mr.
Okay,
President.
Thank you so much.
Move to adjourn.
Second.